Hey ladies, my name is Jenny Simmons and I am the host of Sidelines Sisters. Are you a busy mom, powerhouse professional, or high-achieving go-getter? This show is for no BS women who want to be inspired to get off the sidelines of their lives. Ever feel like you're playing small or safe or just on autopilot? My guests are relatable women who've gone on a journey, overcome challenges, and lived to share the lessons that we want to hear. These conversations will be funny, sad, scary, wise, encouraging, and most of all, real. So whether you're driving, doing chores, exercising, walking the dog, or just laying on the couch, settle in and enjoy. I want to invite you to take back your power, reignite your passions, and step off the sidelines. Let's go. Hey friends, welcome to the continuation of my conversation with Dr. Jenn Simmons. If you did not catch part 1 that released last week, I suggest you press pause on this one, listen to that one first so that it will be a complete conversation for you. And it was good. We think we know a lot about breast cancer. We think we know because of what advertisements, our doctors, nonprofits, and news segments tell us. But we are only hearing what they want us to hear. And Dr. Jenn Simmons gets real. She debunks myths and confronts conspiracies and tells us what we need to know so that we can hopefully avoid this disease, or if we're faced with it, we can address it properly and not put ourselves at even further risk of chronic disease. Before I get into today's conversation, welcome. My name is Jenny Simmons. I am the host of this show, so please and thank you. And whether this is your first time tuning in or you're a longtime listener, I am so grateful that you're here. And I would love for you to take a minute of your time to subscribe to the show if you haven't yet, give it 5 stars, write a quick review, and share. Share the show, share the episode with someone, with a lot of people. I really need your help to grow this show and spread these messages far and wide. Now, before I get into today's conversation, I need to clarify something that came up last week. I mentioned the Gentle Coaching rebrand, which includes the launch of a plant-based lifestyle program to help women look and feel better. So all the things that you might be dealing with, or your friends and family, things like bloating, inflammation, brain fog, irritability, low energy, poor sleep, and stubborn weight, we're going to address all those things in a 4-week program. I had mentioned 12-week previously, but I've decided to make this a quick start program to really get you excited about this lifestyle and show you what's available for you. Now, I get it. We live in a world that has normalized and praised, really, the consumption and use of animals for our benefit. I did not grow up thinking about where my food came from. I ate the hamburger, I ate the pizza, I ate the chicken tenders. It never occurred to me how the food got to my plate. And that's really what's intended, because my guess is if any of us really sat in contemplation about where our food came from, most of us would be vegan. It is very hard to reconcile the animal agriculture industry and nourishment. It just doesn't equate when you know the truth behind the package. And so I don't want to proselytize about the injustice of the system, but my dream, my fantasy is that you see for yourself how satisfied you can feel consuming plant-based foods. There is such an expansive selection of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, and spices that we have not even begun to explore, especially when we're consuming the same standard American diet day in and day out. But in these 4 weeks, I will show you not just how delicious plant-based eating can be, but how easy. Because for any of the busy women listening, especially moms, time is critical. You don't want to be using half a dozen pots, pans, and tools to cook a meal, only to then clean everything and do the whole thing again the next day. I get that. I relate. So I'm going to make this really easy for you, and fun, and delicious, and healthy. And you tell me for yourself how you feel the next day, the next week, the next month. And we're going to talk about all the other things that go into a healthy lifestyle the things that Dr. Jenn mentions, those foundational pieces, sleep, stress, movement, toxins, how we talk, how we think. We're going to get into all of it because I am a trauma-informed life and breathwork coach, and I believe wholeheartedly in somatic practices, which again can be very easy. Let's not overcomplicate this. I know we type A busy women tend to do that, make things harder than they are. My goal with this program is to give you space, 4 weeks of space, to see how easy it can be preparing meals for you and your family. So head to the show notes or go directly to gentlecoaching.com/veganism. Yes, I use the word veganism, as triggering as it might be, and join. Just join. Don't stop and overthink it. Just join and get a friend to do it with you, because I'm offering a referral reward. But honestly, the rewards will be much greater than money. We're talking reduced inflammation. That means aches and pains, no more bloating. You'll sleep better, look better, your skin will glow, your hair and nails will grow, and things like concentration, clarity, creativity, productivity. Those are the kinds of rewards you will see. And for any of you tennis fans, you know that the US Open is taking place right now. And it's funny that Dr. Jenn and I mention Wimbledon in our conversation as we're talking about the overuse of plastic water bottles, especially in professional sports. So if you're tuning in to any of the matches, take a look. See how many bottles each of the players uses. It's insane. Why can't they just reuse glass or stainless steel bottles? But enough about that. Without further ado, I invite you to get comfortable, maybe get ready to take some notes, because there's a lot in here. And let's get into part 2 of my interview with Dr. Jenn Simmons. I have to ask, your world is focused on breast cancer specifically. So if, let's say you, or not you because you know too much, but if your ignorance, such a not nice word, so your
Unaware.
less educated, unaware best friend got a legit breast cancer diagnosis, like there is a lump, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't living the informed life that you're living. She hadn't read your book yet. She wasn't incorporating any of those lifestyle changes.
Can't believe my best friend didn't read my book.
I know. Or a new best friend. This is just someone you met recently on vacation, but
Okay.
you instantly clicked. So
My
she's a
new
new best friend.
Okay.
Okay. With everything that you talk about in the book, we're talking food, sleep, meditation, exercise, EMFs, plastic, the exercise clothes you wear. I mean, you go through a lot of stuff. And I will say it here, and you can shut me down or discontinue knowing me afterwards. Some of it does sound like voodoo. Some of it I do, and I'm obsessed with. Some of it I might push back on. But with everything that you mentioned, what would be the top few things that you would tell this new bestie with the diagnosis to do, like yesterday?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing that I'm going to say is that small things matter. So you're not going to change everything at once. And if you try to change everything at once, it's going to spell disaster.
Yeah.
Right? So we look for progress over perfection. Right? And every day be a little better, every week be a little better, and that will lead to every month being a lot better. Right? And so don't try to do it all at once. Set small, achievable, realistic goals. Like if you're not working out at all now, you're not going to do yoga 2 days a week, lift weights 2 days a week, and walk 5 miles 2 days a week and have the Sunday to rest like, God did on the 7th day. Like that's not happening, right? But you can get a rebounder.
Yep.
And get on that rebounder. When you open your eyes in the morning, go pee and get on that rebounder for 2 minutes. Every single day. 2 minutes. You can do 2 minutes. Who can't do 2 minutes every day? You can put it next to your bed for all I care. You can put it in your bathroom for all I care. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, right? So start low and slow and build, right? And ultimately, what we are looking to do is eat real food, right? So if you're on a highly processed diet, you're not going to a whole food diet in a day. That's not happening. But you can look at your plate and say, where are the vegetables? Let me add some vegetables in. Add in, crowd out.
Yep.
Right? Because eventually those vegetables are going to take the place of something that wasn't serving you.
Yep.
Right? So eat real food. If you're not drinking water yet, start drinking water. Right? Replace whatever you are drinking with water.
Yep.
You don't have to do it all the way. You don't have to do it immediately, but you have to replace what you're drinking with water. And then make sure that your water is clean, right? So find out what's in your water, go to the EWG, and then start to filter it, right? And these are all small things that you can do that over time make a huge difference. So you're going to eat real food, you're going to drink clean water, you're going to move your body, and you're going to make progress in all of these places. And what you eat matters. When you eat matters. So maybe if you haven't started a fasting practice yet, maybe this is the time that you're going to start. And you're going to pick a time, let's say 7 o'clock at night, and you're not going to eat until 7 o'clock the next morning. And no one needs to eat in the middle of the night. And if you are getting up in the middle of the night for a little snacky snack, this is a huge problem.
Yep.
It's a huge problem, right? Or if you have dinner at 6 o'clock and then are having another one at 10, huge problem.
Yeah.
Right? We're not eating before we go to bed because when we go to bed, we don't want to be digesting.
Right. You want
to be
the body to be,
by the time we go to bed.
Yep.
We don't want to have our body have to worry about digesting food when sleep is when the healing happens. Sleep is where all of our detoxification processes are happening.
And we can't do that if it's busy digesting food.
If it's busy digesting food, right? So stopping eating early, getting into a fasting practice. And then when you start to get good at that, great. Maybe some extended fasts to really allow for healing in your body. But this is happening over months.
Yeah.
This isn't happening in a day or a week or even a month, right? We have to meet you where you are. So if you're doing a bunch of things like the standard American diet and you're not moving and you're not prioritizing sleep and you're using wine to relax or alcohol to relax or pot to relax, like, okay, that's your starting point. I hear you. And I know you're not going to turn into me overnight, but that you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to take your baby steps.
I love that. And I would move on this show. I'm coining it if it's not already out there. I feel like we need to move in addition, because I do love SAD. I think that's great. You know, it's a great acronym, Standard American Diet, SAD.
Yeah.
We really need to be calling it the Standard American Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because it's fucked up. I mean,
it is. I agree. And the
so,
other thing that I think that everyone needs to think about and bring into their awareness and build skills around is how are you handling the stress of life? How do you talk to yourself? What is the story you're telling yourself? Because the story you tell yourself matters. What you allow in matters. What you allow to affect you matters. And you're only going to be as good as your skill set. So if you're someone with no coping skills, who flies off the handle at everything, who is reactive to everything and everyone around them, then I promise you, this is not going to end well for you, right? You are in a cortisol dominant state. You are highly reactive. You are flammable, and you're going to go up in flames, right?
so good.
Where are your extinguishers? Where are your barriers? Where is your stop? You may not be a meditator today, That's okay. Meditation is a practice. Yoga is a practice. These are all things that we need to build, skill sets that we need to build. You don't start off. No one flies into flying. You have to walk and run first, right? So it's thinking about, how do I build around this skill set so that the boss that usually drives me crazy, that makes my blood boil every single day, isn't doing that. Now, listen, you may not get to the point where your blood doesn't boil around that boss.
You're inviting him over for dinner. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that may not happen. And you may need a new job. Or maybe it's your job that makes your blood boil and you need a new job. Maybe it's your spouse that makes your blood boil and you need a new spouse, right? Like sometimes we have to amputate. Sometimes we have to amputate. There's more to toxins than the chemicals that are going on our food and being sprayed in the air and on the ground. And sometimes the relationships are toxic. So it's the ability to recognize where the toxins are and eliminating them. And stress is a big one. And we have to learn how to manage it. We have to learn how to do it better, to allocate our time better, to not spend time on busy work and do what's important. I don't remember I'm sure you've seen that demonstration of the tall vase, and if you put all the little rocks in first and then you try to put the big rocks in afterwards, it doesn't work.
Right.
But if you
Right.
put the big rocks in first and then put the little rocks in
They can-
afterwards, like
Yeah.
you have to tackle the big things, the have to things, the things that really matter. And then, you can deal with the little stuff. But for most of it, you can't do everything. You have to prioritize. Filling all your time is not good. Self-care is important. And again, you're not going to get all of this in a day.
Yeah.
Life is a journey. Health is a journey. And we're never arriving. We're never getting to that destination, because the second you get over the mountain,
there's another one.
comes the next one. And it's true for everyone, right?
Yeah.
I'm faced with mountain after mountain after mountain. And it's like, okay, here we go. Let's climb.
Yeah.
Right? Like God was very, very, God has blessed me for sure. And I do have a new friend in my life who is a very, 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 very dear friend. And we somehow seem to be on the exact same path, where we are dealing with the exact same challenges in parallel. Her scale is a little larger than mine. She's pretty famous, so I don't know that she wants me to air all her stuff out there. So I'm not gonna do that. But to say that, we're very much there to support one another, and we're out there supporting one another, and it's hard. And we keep saying, like, okay, just have to get over this hill. Just have to get over this hill. And then it's like, oh my, are you kidding me?
Right.
That
Who put that there?
hill? And really right now, when I'm dealing with this and this and this and this and this at work, I have to deal with this with my kid. And when I'm dealing with this and this and this with work and my kid, and now I have to deal with this with my dog, and this and this and this with my kid and my dog and my work, and now my husband, and it's like, and we just keep saying, God loves me, because if God didn't think I could do this, God wouldn't present this in my path.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to remember that it's all for the good. And she very famously says to me, just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. This too shall pass. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep walking. Just keep moving. Just keep going. And that's what I remember. Just keep going.
Pardon the interruption, but I have to ask, how are you feeling? Like, legit, how do you feel day in and day out? Because if your answer is tired, bloated, achy, brain foggy, irritable, then that's not good. That's not the way we were meant to live. And somehow, so many of us accept that fate. We just think it's natural to get older and feel crappier. But my friends, it doesn't have to be that way. So I want to invite you into my plant based group program. And let me just clarify, this is meant for you if you want to take your health seriously. You're done dieting and you just want to freaking feel good. I'm offering you support, guidance, cheerleading, recipes, checklists, all kinds of good stuff in a community so that you don't feel restricted and deprived and lonely. Think of it as dating veganism. You don't have to marry it, just go on a few dates. See how it goes. So please check the show notes or go right to gentlecoaching.com/veganism and let's get started. Oh, and if you refer someone who signs up, I will send you $100. Now let's get back to the episode. Okay, my last question for you is, what is your advice for women listening who have either for themselves, but definitely toward their children, who are tethered to the tech, to the EMFs? What advice can you offer to people to decrease the usage? Or like, how do you get kids to understand the damage it's causing? What do you do?
I don't know that you're going to get, them to recognize the damage. Certainly not the kids.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, I put 2 apps on my phone that literally each time I try to go onto Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, each time I try to go into that app, it says your time is restricted.
Yep.
You only have 30 minutes a day total.
Wow.
To be in here.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to go in?
Wow.
So it makes me confirm that I want to
Love
go
that.
in. And so now I think I put these controls on my phone about 2 weeks ago. And in 2 weeks, I have spent a total of an hour. Not a day, an hour total over 2 weeks on social media.
That's awesome.
Okay. So it's totally, totally doable.
Yeah.
And I think so many people do it unconsciously. We're a society that's so afraid of being bored. We have to be constantly stimulated. I don't know what I'm doing instead, but I'm not on social media. Now, the downside of doing that for me as a business person is I have no idea what's happening on social media outside of getting posted. I don't know. I'm not responding. I'm not seeing comments. I'm not interacting. So like I probably dropped on the algorithm and people
Sure.
probably saying like, oh, she never answers anything. And yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to convince the kids. The only success that I've had is that my kids are busy being student athletes. So they go to school, they go to practice, and they come home and they have dinner and they have to do their homework and they're exhausted.
Yeah.
Now that said, does my 16-year-old spend his weekend in front of that whatever that gaming station is
Yeah.
called?
PlayStation or
Yeah,
something.
whatever.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
even know which one he has. This is how
Yep.
uninvolved I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, he
Yeah.
spends the weekend there where I'm like, did you hit the ball with dogs? Did you hit the ball with the
Yeah.
dogs? Mom,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
do it. Mom, get
Yeah.
out of my room. I'll do it. I
Yeah.
said, I'll do it.
That's my son today. He has what did he call it? He didn't call it veg day. He called it I think he called it like a brain rot day because, yeah,
Which is
because
exactly what's happening. Very
yeah, he
accurate.
called it out at least.
Yeah.
I said, you want to come walk the dogs with me? I'd love having a buddy. Do you want to come with me? No, it's a brain rot day.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like everything else, if you have someone that has an ice cream habit or an alcohol habit or a pot habit or whatever, a gambling habit. Like, it doesn't matter. The only way you can get rid of that habit is to put something else there, hopefully a healthy something. Right. And so I'm lucky that my kids put athletics in there most of the time. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend that I don't have kids that are addicted to their devices, because
Yeah.
the second that my
Because
19
then
year
my
old,
listeners will really hate you.
yeah, well, the truth
No.
is that the second my 19-year-old is bored at work, I know he's on that phone. He's
Yeah.
talking to Chat GPT about like how to make his muscles bigger or
Right.
whatever whatever he's asking Chat GPT, but that's what
Love
he's
it.
doing.
Yep. That's
And
my son's best friend. Yep.
they don't call each other anymore. They hit each other up on Snap.
Yep.
And they probably don't even say hit each other up
They
because,
just say snap me back. Yep.
yeah, snap me or whatever.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
so old. Um, Mom,
Hey, you know what Snapchat is.
it's not how it works, Mom.
I
It's not how it works.
love
Yeah.
it.
I do think that it has been an amazing place because it's given a lot of people a platform, myself included,
Exactly. I'm not
that
going to trash it. I use it.
that 10 years ago
Yeah,
it didn't exist,
absolutely. The
right?
ways of
You know,
contacting people I never would have been
yeah.
able to or figured out how for that it's wonderful.
Yeah, like millions of people know who I am and what I do. And that wouldn't have been true before.
Yeah.
Right? So there are blessings there for sure. But there's also a lot of danger there and a lot of quackery out there. And
Hmm.
this coming from someone who has stepped outside of the system, right? So, I went from being a surgeon and revered as being one of the smartest people in the room to, oh, she lost her mind or her skills or whatever. So, I understand the fall from grace, but there truly is quackery out there, and there are people saying a lot of wrong things and a lot of dangerous things, and you have to be a pretty educated consumer to understand. I mean, at most medical oncology centers around the country, women are still getting advice that sounds like no matter what you do during chemotherapy, don't lose weight and drink Boost and Ensure,
Yeah.
and like they're getting and don't fast. Fasting's
Yeah.
bad for you, and they're getting really bad advice from very well-intentioned people
Oh,
who
yes.
just don't know. Everything I know and talk about now is from information that I have learned since my diagnosis.
Sorry to interrupt this amazing interview, but I have an announcement to make. After years of careful contemplation and consideration, I have decided to offer a new coaching program for women who simply want to get and feel healthier all around, physically, mentally, spiritually. And as someone who has been vegan for several years now, I can tell you it's all about compassion. It's all about bringing the feelings of love, empathy, appreciation, and respect into everyday life. So when I'm presented with conflict and challenge, I can draw from all that positivity that comes from my vegan lifestyle. All you have to do is click the link in the show notes. Let's get back to the show. So, one more. I know I said the EMF thing was the last question, but I do have one more question based on the way this has gone. So, we've established that we have our conspiracy theories regarding traditional medicine, doctors, hospitals, the way things are taught in medical schools. What is your feeling about something like, say, the American Cancer Society? Because if you go on their website, they have suggested recipes and
That are
nutrition.
garbage.
Okay. And so I'm trying to reconcile that in my brain saying, well, Jesus, this is like the most revered nonprofit in America. How is it on their website that all of their recipes are the things that I would read in your book says not to eat? Because then the external influence in my life would say, well, you're only listening to that one lane that says plant-based, plant-based, plant-based. So the fact that the American Cancer Society website has chicken and rice and yogurt parfaits, what gives?
Yeah, but nonprofit doesn't mean non-sponsored.
Mm.
So we have to not confuse the two. These organizations, the American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, the American Heart Association, we have to remember that all of these entities, while maybe nonprofit, are not non-sponsored. And
Mm.
these are another arm of industry. And the
Yeah.
way that they get their products promoted is through these vehicles.
That's
So,
interesting.
like the American Diabetes Association, their diet for a diabetic is horrible. It's
Yeah.
the recipe for diabetes, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to be really careful. This is what I mean. Like, you have to be a critical thinker. And I think about the pink campaigns in October,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And all the offerings, right? So like Yoplait comes in pink
Right. Right.
packages and there's
Right.
pink donuts and there's pink everything, right? Pink nail polish, pink this, pink that. Half these things are toxic and cancer causing in and of themselves. In and of themselves, right? So we have to think before we pink. We have to think before we do any of this because this is just an arm of industry and it's about making money. Even for the nonprofit, if they want to offer their programming, they need money.
Yeah.
It's not some person like trying to line their pockets, although their CEOs make a lot of money. But it's not them necessarily trying to line their pocket. They are legitimately trying to do wonderful things and support people. But like Komen is trying to raise a lot of money for mammograms. What do mammograms do? They increase breast cancer diagnoses. Like, what? Why do we want that? Komen raises a lot of money for breast cancer research. What is the research for? Drug
Right.
development,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
when you take a step back and think about what these organizations do, they're just arms of industry. They're just the way to keep industry going.
Mm.
That's all they are. And we trust them, but they don't deserve our trust. They don't.
Mm. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you,
If you want a different
proc-
answer, you got to ask a different lady.
yeah, no, I'm glad you proclaimed that here because I felt like I was, again, speaking out into the wind in the forest by myself when I say,
No.
but just because it's on that website doesn't mean it's good for you, because then I get into that conspiracy conversation of why would that organization put a recipe that isn't good for you? Why would they want to promote? And I'm like, oh my God, this is just going nowhere.
But also, they don't know what they don't know.
Fair.
So, I mean, I do think that there's someone at the top, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but most of the people are just falling in line. Like, if you go to school to become a nutritionist, most nutritionists are still being taught, or I always I get confused
The
between that and a dietitian, but whatever, like calories in, calories
Yeah, the
out, and
pyramid,
the pyramid. Like, look at our food pyramid. Our food pyramid is a nightmare.
yeah.
Like we shouldn't have a category for sugars. We
Mhm.
shouldn't. They don't
Dairy.
fall
I
right
mean,
through there.
to
Dairy,
to me,
agree.
I don't look at dairy as a human food.
Unnecessary. Right? It's not unnecessary. Our food pyramid should be built on what is necessary to sustain us and optimize function. But that's not what it is at all. It's a food pyramid built on how can we support our current food and agricultural system. So let's put grains at the bottom so that we consume what we grow. But if we never ate another grain again, right? We have no nutritional need for grains. None, nothing, not at all. If we never ate another grain again, we would suffer no nutritional deficiencies. What the hell is it doing at the base of our food pyramid that everything else is built on? What? Why? Because that's what industry wants, right? So we can sell a lot of grains. We can get rid of the stuff that we're growing, that we're subsidizing. We can fill the pharmaceutical industry and fill the hospitals, right? and it just
And
makes it all go round.
and it's sick that so much of what we're growing in this country isn't even for human consumption
No.
right away in step A.
Yeah.
It gets to us in B and C. I mean, I went to Nebraska on a girls' trip, never been to the heartland. I was overwhelmed with the beauty of these crops. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen miles and miles of corn.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been to farms before, but not that huge. So I take an ear and I start to
Husk it.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the
I
people
had
that
my
I was,
estrogen today, so my brain
yes, well
started
done.
working. Yeah, thank you.
One of the women I was with was a native Nebraskan, and she was like, "No,
No.
stop!" And I said, "But this is right off the stock. I don't understand." She's like, "No, no, no, no. That's not for you. That's for like that's for farm.
Animal
That
feed.
yeah,
Animal
that's
feed.
animal feed. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's animal feed, which
Yeah.
ultimately is consumed by humans.
Yeah. Yeah, because
But
then you think you're going to go eat that steak and that steak is going to nourish you, and that
the,
cow was fed corn, which is not part of their native diet, was never part of their native
and
diet,
was
shouldn't be a
sprayed
part of
with
it.
shit that
Yeah.
no one
And
should
that
consume.
And also, that cow is now sick as shit
Yep,
because it's growing up on a diet of corn and soybeans, which should never be in their bodies. So then their
exactly.
body is so inflamed. Plus, they
Yep,
have to have antacids to keep it down.
yep,
Plus, they get terribly sick. So then you have to give them antibiotics to keep
yep.
it, and on
Right,
and on and on. Yeah.
right.
It's
But
a
like, if
terrible
that
system.
wasn't the flashing light of how messed up this system is, because I do, I know we don't need corn to live, but I like corn every once in a while when it's pesticide free
Believe
and
me, I grew up near the Jersey Shore. I know about corn.
yeah, I'm not
Had
making street
Jersey corn
corn.
every
I'm not
yeah.
slathering it in
Yeah.
butter,
No.
but I don't mind a fresh ear of corn once in a while.
Yeah,
And I was
I get it.
horrified
It
at
just
that
shouldn't
response.
be the base of your food pyramid.
Of
And
course.
what you went through is, in fact, horrifying.
Yeah.
It is horrifying and happening every
Yep.
single day,
Yep.
everywhere in this country. And it's
Yep.
disgraceful. And the entire system is built to feed one another. So, literally, we're eating this crappy food so that we get sick, so that we get into the medical system, so that we use the pharmaceuticals and on and on. And we continue and we stay sick because we eat the crappy food. So, we stay in the medical system and we
Right. And
continue with the pharmaceuticals,
don't forget that when
right?
you're in the hospital, you're being fed the food that you shouldn't, that got you sick in the first place.
Oh, yeah. I mean, believe me. So I was here. This is the last story. I'll tell the last story. So it was after my revelation, and I was resigning from my surgical position because I couldn't be part of the
Mm.
problem anymore. I wanted to be part of the solution. And so the hospital system that I worked for wanted to keep me. And so they said, listen, we're going to make you the first chair of integrative oncology in the country. I'm like, wow, that
Sounds
sounds
good.
great, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'll really be able to make a difference. I'll set a precedence. Like, this is great. So I go and meet with the head of the hospital, the chief medical officer of the hospital. I said, listen, what are we going to do about the cafeteria? He said, I don't know what you mean. I said, well, I can't have people waking up from their cancer surgery and being fed a breakfast of
Eggs
pancakes
and
and
yeah.
waffles and bacon and sausage and he said, yeah, the cafeteria is off the table. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, we are reimbursed based on a number of criteria. And one of the criteria that we are reimbursed on is how good the food tastes. And if we make the food healthy, we get lower scores and we get less reimbursements. So the cafeteria is off the table. I'm like, all right, let's just put that aside for a second and say, aren't we obligated to do the right thing for these people? Like, this is an opportunity. This is a teaching moment. This is a time in their life. They're in crisis. They're listening. They just had a cancer surgery. They just had a cardiac bypass. Like, whatever it is, we have
Yeah.
a teachable moment. We have an amazing opportunity here. Shouldn't we be taking advantage of it? showing these people how to eat and giving them an example and teaching them, healthy food is good and necessary and delicious. And I said, we're really obligated to do this. And he said, no, I'm not interested in doing that. I said, why? He said, because if we teach them to be healthy, they're not going to come back. And we make our money on cancer surgeries and heart surgeries and operations, and we depend on the people coming back. So, no. And I said, thank you. Goodbye. We are not on a similar path. We do not have the same interests at heart. We are not on a similar mission. And this is the problem. This is the problem, that in our system, we are only rewarded for sickness. There is no way to reward the doctors, the nurses, the hospitals, anything. They only make money when you're sick.
Yeah.
They don't make money when you're well. So there's no motivation for them to get you
That's so
well.
sad.
And so they don't. So that's my story.
Well, how lovely to end on that note. Oh my gosh, this has been so fun. I have monopolized a lot of your time, but I love it. Could you please tell this audience where to get more of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you just want to learn more about healthy living, or you know someone with breast cancer, or you have a breast cancer diagnosis, or you had a breast cancer diagnosis, The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer. I wrote this book to inform you of how to live the rest of your life in a way that is worthwhile and to help you make the decisions. So thank you so much for displaying it on the screen.
Yeah. Just want people to see
Yeah.
it while you're
Yeah.
talking.
Yes, The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancers. And Real Health MD is where you go if you want my help. So if you are dealing with a breast cancer diagnosis, or you had a breast cancer diagnosis and you want to know how to move on with the rest of your life, or you're living with a breast cancer diagnosis, you've metastatic disease, realhealthmd.com. You
Sorry,
can,
one question. Do
yeah,
you work with people virtually or do they need to come into
I
town to
do.
see
I
you?
work with everyone virtually.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Um,
so excited to hear that.
So the only exception is for those with a history of breast cancer who I'm giving them hormone replacement, since that is a major part of my practice, is hormone replacement for women who have had breast cancer, because they are women too, and they deserve the same access to care that everyone else is getting. So those people I have to see in person, but
Okay.
don't worry, because I'm opening up 50 centers around the country. They're going to be called Perfection Imaging and Wellness. So you heard it here first.
Oh,
And there we are going to be using QT imaging
yeah.
for breast cancer scanning, which is radiation free and pain free and compression free. And we are using this in the context of a holistic screening program for breast cancer, where you have a breast examination. You take something called the ARIA test. I know we didn't
Yep.
get to talk about that today, but
I've heard it on your
yeah.
podcast.
So
Yeah.
the ARIA test, AURIA.care. And with the ARIA test, this is a sample of your tears. So you just put a tiny litmus paper in your eye. It doesn't hurt. Don't worry. You don't have to cry, and you send that back to the company, and it measures for two proteins, the S100A8 and S100A9 protein, that when they are elevated together, this is highly predictive of breast cancer. But it's not a breast cancer test. It is a test to predict the likelihood or your risk for breast cancer based on how much breast cancer specific inflammation you have. So it is 93% sensitive, meaning that 93% of the time, if you have breast cancer, this test will identify it. And it is 57 or 58% sensitive. And what that means is that 42% of the time, if you don't have breast cancer, this test will still be positive, right? But I want to be clear that there are no false positives for this test. If you get a clinically significant result on this test, you have the inflammatory precursors to breast cancer. And if you don't change,
Got
breast
it.
cancer will develop.
Got it.
It will. So, what I think this test is opportunity. It's an opportunity for many women to know what their real risk is and to prevent the clinical development of disease. Because what we were talking about before, I don't believe in treating people without symptoms, but let's try to prevent that from even happening. So I
Right.
always say, if you get a clinically significant result, the first thing you should do is read my book. Read The
Yep.
Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer. At Perfection Imaging, we are examining everyone. We are doing the ARIA test and we're doing QT imaging, which
Mm.
is sound waves transmitted through a water bath that creates a true 3D reconstruction of the breast without pain, compression, or radiation. So it is
Mm.
100% safe, and no one is any worse for the wear after having had this kind of screening. And what we are trying to do is not identify every single thing, but identify the things that are meaningful and determine when and if we should even be involved. So a lot of women, we see a lot of things on these images, things that we never saw before. And all we're trying to do is find what's meaningful. People are like, well, I want to know every little thing. No, you don't. And you don't need to know. And I'm not trying to mansplain it, right? But we have become so conditioned to go after everything and go after everything. Remember, that is for the purposes of overdiagnosing and
Yeah.
overtreating. And that's what
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
trying to get away from. It's perfectionimaging.com, PERFEQTION imaging.com. Stay tuned and we will keep everything on the website so you'll be able to hear there when it's opening in a town near
Mm.
you. I'm also helping other providers who want to bring this technology to their space because for me, the most important thing is that we get people access to safe screening and that we do it in a way that it actually can be preventative.
Mm.
Because when you're using mammogram, all you're doing is radiating and hoping to develop disease. When you're using aria.care, AURIA.care, and you can use my code DrJenn20, DRJENN20 to get 20% off. When you're using exam and aria and QT, we are actually going to be able to prevent diagnoses because we're going to be able to say, hey, you're at increased risk. What do we need to change? Like, how are you eating and how are you thinking and how are you drinking and how are you moving and how are you sleeping and how are you detoxing and all the things? We're going to be able to say that. And how can we turn this ship around? Because that's not the way you want to go, right?
So for someone listening who has, let's say, a mammogram scheduled or it's on their to-do list, what do you recommend if they don't live near you?
Do the ARIA test.
Okay.
Do a physical examination, do a breast examination. I think everyone should be examining their breasts because
Hmm.
again, unless you have clinical disease, I don't want to say I don't care because that sounds insensitive, but it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. If you don't have clinical disease, it doesn't matter. So do a breast examination,
Okay.
do the ARIA test, and if the ARIA test comes back normal and you don't feel anything, you're good. And I think in the future, the ARIA test is going to be used to because they're not going to have an exclusive on this technology. This technology is very repeatable, very copyable, and there'll be 10 different tests out there that will do the same exact thing. And this will predict who does and who does not need imaging.
How often should someone do the ARIA test?
If you're at average risk, once a year.
Okay.
If you have like a BRCA mutation or a really strong family history, then you could maybe do it every 6 months. I don't like to make people crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get overly obsessed with these things. So if you're checking in with yourself and you're doing your labs, and because I have all the labs that you should know about yourself in my book, right? And
Hmm.
if you're checking in with yourself and examining yourself and you're doing the labs and you don't have signs of systemic inflammation and your weight is good and you're sleeping and you're eating right and all those things, like once a year is more than enough. And if you don't have those things dialed in, if your weight isn't optimized, if you're not sleeping at night, if you're on the standard American diet, living the standard American lifestyle, then first of all, don't do that. And second of all, you might need more monitoring. And especially if you're someone with a BRCA mutation or a PALB1 mutation or any of those things that we know put you at increased risk of breast cancer. And then lastly, so realhealthmd.com, perfectionimaging.com. You can listen to my podcast, which is called Keeping Abreast with Dr. Jenn.
So
And
good.
we put out a new episode every week. The book. And then lastly, you can find me on all the social channels. I'm Dr. Jenn Simmons, and my Jen has 2 N's.
I am incredibly grateful that you carved out all this time to be here.
Strap
I want
in.
to invite you in conclusion to raise a glass, and we're going to say cheers to progress over perfection and taking small steps over those damn hills.
Amen, sister.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just sending you so much gratitude and blessings and just good fortune.
Well, thank you. I'll take it. I'll take all the blessings I can get.
Wow, right? Hopefully you listened to both part 1 and part 2, and now you are all caught up on how messed up the medical industry is, how frightening the food system is, and how empowering it is to take your breast health into consideration. Now, let me get into part 2's notes from the sidelines. Number 1, if you have a diagnosis, small things matter. And this is kind of the message I'm giving in my new plant-based Quick Start program. Small things matter. If you try to change everything at once, it'll be a disaster. So every day, be a little better. Start by eating real food. Again, that's the message of my program. Eat whole foods, then plan to move a little, and then drink water. Start with those 3 things. Number 2, what you eat and when you eat matters. Sleep is when detoxification happens, and your body can't do that if it's busy digesting food. So consider stopping eating hours before you go to bed so that rest and digest can happen. Number 3, how do you handle life stress? How do you talk to yourself? What's the story you're telling yourself? All those things matter when it comes to your overall health and wellness. Number 4, sometimes we have to amputate toxic things in our lives because there's more to toxins than just chemicals. So it's about recognizing the toxins in your life and eliminating them. Number 5, health is a journey and you never arrive. Number 6, when faced with challenges, tell yourself, God loves me and wouldn't put this in front of me if he didn't think I could handle it. Number 7, consider an app to restrict access to social media and other communication apps. It's good for awareness and reduction of use. Number 8, the only way to fix a bad habit is to replace it with something better. It's the idea of crowding out as opposed to cutting out. Number 9, you need to be an educated consumer because social media has made it so easy for quackery to spread. And yes, people are well-intentioned, but there's a lot of bad advice out there. Number 10, nonprofit does not mean non-sponsored. The well-known nonprofits in the health world are also arms of industry. Number 11, the food pyramid is a disaster and should be designed by what's necessary to sustain us and optimize our functioning, but it's not. Number 12, hospitals serve food that is not good for us, but they get rated and funded for how good the cafeteria food tastes and how well it's received by patients and visitors. But the problem is, if we teach patients about getting healthy, they won't return to the hospital, and that becomes a money problem. And finally, number 13, if you have a clinical disease, read her book. So I want to thank Dr. Jenn Simmons again for coming on the show and for all of you for tuning in to both parts because this was a masterclass in not just breast health, but overall life health. So please share this episode, share it everywhere, put it on your social media, put out a text blast, share these 2 episodes with Jenn Simmons because they are gold. And I want to remind you again to head to gentlecoaching.com/veganism and join my new program. It's about making these small adjustments and feeling so supported while doing so. Because when you've been doing things the same way for a long time, it is hard to change. But when you have a guide and cheerleader beside you, it's so much easier. And I am so excited to get women healthy, feeling and looking good, and changing those neural pathways to live a cruelty-free, delicious, nutritious life that honors all living beings. It is possible. We can do it, and I want to be here to support you. So please check out my program, share these episodes, and I'll see you right back here next week for my empowering conversation with Nancy Griffin. I'm sending you all good vibes, blessings, and inspiration for a plant-powered life. Cheers to you.